I remember the first time I heard God for myself. It was, in fact, the first time I was so sure God was the one speaking to me and not my intuition or something I made up in my head. And it happened way back in September 2020. I remember being very confused. I was frustrated with my life at the time. I was tired of everything that was going on in life. And after digging through a lot of books, after digging through things I didn't understand, just to try to make sense of my life, I decided to go to the one person I felt understood me best, and that is God. So I locked up myself in a room one day. I sat on the floor, left my Bible on the floor, and I prayed to God. I said, God, I'm coming to you as someone who has never met you before. I remember saying these exact words. I choose to forget everything I've ever heard of you. I don't care what my parents told me about you, what I've read about you in books, none of that. If you don't come right now and introduce yourself to me one on one, I'm going to leave here and never look back. I will never serve you again. Did it work? And in that very moment, I heard God say, well, let's start from the beginning then. I'm not even kidding. This is exactly how it played up in my head. I could hear a voice say, okay, let's start from the very beginning. Open to Genesis. I almost cried. I was like, wait, what just happened? I didn't even understand what was happening. I was like, that can't be possible. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, because what I thought would last a day lasted more than 3 weeks of introduction. God took me through the book of Genesis, and I was in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 for days. I was hearing things in my head that was not in the Bible, but it felt like someone was explaining things to me deeper and deeper and deeper. And I fell in love with the idea of getting to know God. I chose to forget about my problems in that moment. I chose to forget about my worries, anything that was weighing me down. At my school, at the time, I was frustrated with school life. I didn't understand what my purpose was. A lot of confusion, to be honest. And so loving God was a breath of fresh air, trying to discover someone else aside myself. So yeah, God introduced me to himself, and for weeks he took me through the Bible. I discovered something in that moment, that the more I got to know about God, the more God introduced me to me. I'll explain what I mean by that. In case of anyone who is trying to discover themselves better, this is one of the best ways to do it. Forget about yourself and focus on loving God, having a genuine relationship with God, one that is not laced with your own personal ambitions, but just seeking God. Since that day on till today, I know when God is speaking to me and when it feels like it's just a random thought in my head or my own intuition. And it helped me understand various ways that God speaks to me, because the way God speaks to me might not be the same way God speaks to another person. So I remember being in that room, learning about God, experiencing Him in a different way, like in a way I've never felt before, and just learning how to pray. I was taught a form of prayer, but in that moment, I understood what it means when they say prayer is communication. So it literally felt like a conversation. It didn't feel like I was just going, Lord, in the name of Jesus. It was a genuine conversation in that moment. It was so beautiful. And why I say this is something that's gonna help figure out yourself better is because after weeks of just loving up on God, forgetting my worries, my doubts, my fears, everything. Nothing mattered. Not even the world. I cut off from social media. I didn't even know what was going on with the whole COVID situation. I was just in that room. I was going through depression at the time, to depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem too. So there was a lot of battles, and that was the only moment I felt free, the only moment I felt seen and understood. And so while I was just loving up on God one day, I was just worshiping God. He asked me a question. He said, can we talk about it for a moment? And in that moment, I was like, I really don't want to go back to myself. I really enjoy being with you. I don't want to talk about my own problems. Can we focus on you? You sound great. You are amazing to me. I don't want to know something else, anything else. But I was like, just humor me for a second. Can you think about everything that has felt like pain to you, that everything that was painful, a painful experience, everything that frustrated you? Can you think about it right now? And I kid you not, while I was thinking about it, that was the first time in my life I actually thought about those issues and I smiled. I'm not joking. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel frustrated. I could feel nothing but joy in my spirit. I started viewing the pain, the frustration from a different perspective. And I remember writing down in my book, pain is gain. Because that's exactly how it felt in my head. That every single thing that had happened to me up until that moment groomed me, made me who I was in that moment, got me to that position where I was with God in that room. And how every single moment that I felt pressured or anxious, those things made me do, brought out the best in me. God just opened my eyes. It felt like someone literally lifted a veil, and I suddenly saw how the pain was not supposed to break me but make me stronger, and it did. It actually did. And ever since then, I've never looked at my problems the same way. Now I genuinely feel when I see a problem, I'm like, this is another opportunity for me to learn, for me to grow, for me to be blessed. If God allowed it to happen, then there is a very good reason for it. And my response to that should be faith over fear. I should believe God that if He allowed it to happen, it's because I can handle it and it's going to bring out the best in me, or there's something I'm going to learn through it. Even if I feel at the first glance, it doesn't change the fact that it was meant for good for me, and it's always going to turn out for good, especially when I'm not even the one that brought about the problem. So I just kept on trusting God. He kept digging deep, opening me up to various possibilities in my life. It just started making me understand how the scenarios in my life were not exactly bad, but they brought out the best in me. I'll give you an example. I remember one particular day I came back from an exam. I was so frustrated. I didn't want to write that exam, but I was so frustrated. I was angry, and I just wanted something to ease off. I needed to just let loose for a while, and I remembered I remember that, oh, I could actually paint, I could actually draw. And it had been a long time since I did that, since primary school. This was university, by the way. It was a long time since I did that. So I stepped out, took my money, went to buy some art supplies. I came back to my room and I said, today I'm going to draw a huge Tom and Jerry on the wall. Now, mind you, I have never drawn anything on a paper. As much as I did find I was drawing as a child, I could never replicate a picture on a drawing perfectly. I've never done that. I was never good at it. But that was my first time, and I decided to do it on a huge wall, on my wall, on my room, like a mural, something. And I did that. I spent the entire day and the next drawing and mapping out Tom and Jerry on the wall from a reference picture that I got on Pinterest. And to my honest surprise, I was actually good at art because I did good. Everyone was shocked, like, wait, you can do this? And he baffled me too because I didn't even think I was capable of. I don't even know what gave me the courage to do it. I just felt like it, and it started making me dabble into art. And I noticed that every time I felt frustrated about something, I dabbled into something that gave me joy. If it were music or craft or animation, I was into 3D animation at the time. The frustration started fueling the other side of me that I did not intentionally work on. The parts of me that I just felt, well, were not exactly gainful because I was in school. I had to focus on school and I was a science student. Anyway, back to the story. I suddenly saw how gainful everything became for me, and I started praising God in the problems, in my issues. I started thanking God for the issues I was facing. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, that I went through this. I wasn't happy while I went through it, but I'm grateful that it brought out the best in me. Another thing that happened because of my intentionality with my relationship with God, it was that I started being very, what's the word? Started being intentional about self-love. Because I was trying to love on God, I started trying to look good for God. I don't know if that makes sense. I started trying to do better for God. That it was no longer about me looking better for me, trying to look good for myself. It was like I'm a daughter of a king. I am literally dating a king, so I should represent the king well. That's how my mentality just changed. And I started working on my looks, started sitting with my thoughts more, not on the negatives, but the positives, trying to see how the beauty in myself. And yeah, it led me up until this moment. It has continued. My relationship with God has grown even stronger. And I just really wanted to share this for anyone who is scared, who is not scared, anyone out there who really wants to hear God for themselves, who really wants to tighten their relationship with God. You're tired of just the cliche way of relating with God, and you want more out of it. You want more out of life. Well, you are in the right place, I guess. I will say this though: the same way you would date a regular person, the same way you will date your lover physically, date God that same way. See it as if you are dating God. That's the best way to improve your relationship. For me, it helped me because I sometimes we have to liken it to something we can understand. Because how do you build a relationship with someone you cannot see? So sometimes you have to liken it to something you're used to already. That for me was dating. So if I'm dating someone, it means that I have to naturally I want to talk to the person every now and then. I'll check up on the person morning, afternoon, night, midnight, for midnight calls, talking for hours. And that is literally the prayer time. And getting to know the person over the calls and everything, the conversations we have, that is the Bible, my Bible study. I likened it to Bible study. That getting to know my partner means reading more about him, and that is studying my Bible. And yeah, the phone calls and stuff like communication is the prayer. Is prayer meetings literally. And I was like, oh, normal. If I'm also dating someone, I'll go on dates. We would definitely go on dates, and the dates would be like those moments. My prayer would be my quiet time that I've set. Maybe every single day, I'm going to be meeting up for 1 hour. I'm going to be praying. I'm going to be doing this, or maybe a fast that I've decided that maybe once in a week I'm going to fast, and then in my head I see it as a date that I'm going to meet with the Lord on that day. I'm going to meet with my lover on that day, and we're going to have a great time together. That's how I literally view it, and it helps me understand my relationship better with God. And I try not to make things sound. I try not to think of it in a very big way, but in an ambiguous way. I try to narrow it down to a way I can understand and relate with God better. Yes, He is the King of Kings, and there are times I approach Him as the King of Kings, but He's also called the I am that I am. God can be anything you want Him to be in that moment for you. And there are moments where I just need a friend, and God is a friend to me. Jesus Christ is a friend to me. There are times where I need a provider, and Jesus Christ is my provider. So that moment, I'm going to Him as the lover of my soul, and I literally relate with Him as my lover. I allow Him to love me, and I try to love Him back. I could never outlove Him, but I try my best by showing up and just giving Him time. That's all He requires, time with me, to spend time with me, and I try my best to do so. And I promise that if you do this, if you try to relate with God this way, it will heighten your relationship, and it will help you understand better His voice. Because there's no way that you spend time with someone for a long time that you will not recognize that person's voice, even if you heard it somewhere without seeing the person. So that's how clarity comes with knowing what God's voice sounds like. We've spent a lot of time with Him to understand, to know how He sounds. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope this encourages someone's faith to give God a chance in their life. And I hope my story inspires you to know God for yourself. I really hope it does. Anyway, that's all for now. Let me go back to my coloring. I think I'm going to tag this Confessions of a Believer. I'm going to be sharing a lot of faith hassles, things that I've been through, things that I'm doing in my life that is working, and I'm hoping that it works. And I'm not even doing this because I want to do it. I think we're having prayers in the house one day, and it just came up. I felt the urge to do this. I did not listen. This was like 2 months ago, by the way. And then urge came again. I was listening to someone was speaking, and in that moment, God told me again, this is what I want you to do. But you don't want to do it. Why? And I didn't want to come across like a preacher. I don't want to show up on and be talking about faith, life, and all. But and God is like, I'm not asking you to do preach to people. I'm just asking you to share your experience. Somebody might learn something from it. I'm not perfect. There are days I don't hear from God as well, and I'm struggling with my faith. And so maybe that's what made me feel a little, a bit withdrawn from the whole idea. But if God sends, who am I to say no? And I'm going to try my best. I don't know what I'm going to be sharing next, but by the grace of God, I'll find something. I hope it really helps someone's way more than anything. Let me get back to my coloring. I couldn't concentrate because I was doing this. Yeah.